there? And work on our behalf. When I send an email out, item number 2, election of a vice chair or a vice chair by. Is that a possibility?
A vice chair by committee would
Pardon
be
me, maybe not chair by committee, but I have 2 that would like to.
multiple vice chairs.
Co-vice chair.
I think that's fine.
That'd be okay. All right. I heard you raised your hand awfully quick.
I was the first one to step backwards. Or you put your hand down awfully. And I don't want to exclude you. I was just trying to. And then I think there's terms, and you might know.
When is my term up and are the terms 2-year increments?
Chair,
I recommend that we appoint a vice chair for the year, for the calendar year, but we should put that on the January agenda for a chair and vice chair every year, so.
Oh, is it annual?
I think I don't think the bylaws.
It doesn't say in the bylaws, but it might be just a good practice in case. Won't change, but
Yeah. And we, Jen and I can remember to put it on every, January.
Can reappoint you for as long.
Cause they stagger. Yeah.
That's when everybody puts their hands down.
Right.
So let's, I'll entertain a motion to recommend adding Amanda as co-vice chair for the calendar year.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Business from the audience. We have a couple of audience members here in attendance. Chair, and I think if you do, you just hopefully you've written your name on the register and just introduce yourself to those that are watching remotely.
Chair, I don't think we have anyone signed up for tonight.
Nobody signed up?
Nope.
Agenda additions or corrections? Did you have a chance to review?
I'll move approval.
All in favor? Now, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Great.
Thank you for sharing the picture of the intersection.
For
I
sure.
think I was looking on my phone and I wasn't sure if you were talking about the intersection here, or if you were talking about the intersection that you're going to be.
And the answer is yes,
Oh,
both of them.
okay.
So thank you for letting me put this on your agenda. It's a pleasure to introduce you to Randy Oxinger, who is our new project manager. And you remember Jackie Vanderpoy, who is also here, and she's sitting in the audience right now, but our community engagement coordinator. The two of them, look, Randy is the project manager for both of these intersections. And then Jackie has been supporting him in communication and outreach efforts. So since you are really our advisory body on communication and outreach, and one of these intersections falls directly in our urban renewal district, the Columbia Cascade district, and the other one falls in what we anticipate will be a future district, I thought you would be a great audience to hear about these two intersections, what our plans are, and then give us some feedback on what you think are the best communication and outreach pieces. And Jackie can speak a little bit about the efforts they've already had. So with that, I'm going to turn it to Randy, can come up and present here. I think he's brought you paper copies.
Yeah.
And then we can get those into the record. We can get them scanned tomorrow for everybody. So
Apologize. I didn't know how the system would do it.
I think they're,
Yeah.
or Jackie, could you run and make more copies? Do you have one of each? You make copies for all of the members? Yes. Great.
Here's the first packet.
Right.
First packet.
Oh, yeah. The second one's just the agenda, the addition. I didn't catch that. Thank you.
So, yeah, we're getting ready to get
So-
started.
First, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? How you came to the city, how long you've been here? Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. My name is Randy Oxiger. I've been working for the city for about 2 months now. I came from local construction companies, worked on a lot of city projects throughout the years. And I just wanted to start with the city. I'm really excited about it. So that being said, being 2 months, the Second and Oak intersection has basically been in design and concept stage since when I was looking through the records, it looks like 2017 was the first real conversations about it. And so it's been a bit. You have the picture there. It's going to change. We're going to add those bump outs, help with pedestrians, shortens the travel, shortens the time in the intersection, provides. A big thing is it also provides the comfort for pedestrians. That was a big thing that the traffic plans stated. There's not a lot that's going to change the way the traffic flows. The right turn signal, the right turn lane will stay the same going south there. And that basically to try to alleviate any issues with a backup going on to Cascade down there and make sure nothing backs up into the I-84 light. Those two lights will be coordinated, synced. I don't know the term, but they do have communications to each other. So there will be like an override if it does back up down. And that's basically, just stop me and ask a question whenever, if I'm not saying anything. So I'm going to put this one out to bid the end of the month here, just finalizing up some of the special provisions. We anticipate a March bid. And the reason it's going out so soon, because we won't start construction until after Labor Day. So we don't work through the busy season down here. But the light poles and some of the components have about a 6-month lead time. So we're putting it out to bid and anticipate construction starting very soon after Labor Day. I mean, that's what our goal is. We won't have a construction schedule until it goes out to bid and the contractor provides the schedule for us. We do anticipate full completion by April of next year. And probably shouldn't speculate, but I expect it to go pretty quickly down. I expect the construction to wrap up fairly quickly as far as the curb ramps and the bump outs and all of that. Paving can't happen until the warmer weather. So that's the main reason for like a late April final completion date. We need the warm weather for that. Jackie and I went through all the businesses down. It's a very popular project. I've never seen a project where you go to businesses that are going to be affected by traffic and construction. Everybody, I think I can almost say almost everyone was positive about it as we walked through there. That's always a good thing. Other than that, like we have dates that there's not going to be any work. There's going to be no work during weekends, no night work, and holidays, no holidays, and Harvest Festival. That Friday, we're going to be no work on that day as well. We are still waiting from Doug's. They have some sort of semi-permanent event during those dates. We may not have a work date during that. And I'm hoping to hear from them soon because it needs to be in the bid documents. So that pretty much is a Second and Oak down there.
Any question?
Yeah.
Questions on Second Oak before we move to the other one? Oh, good.
I'm just curious about like, are there gonna be arrows? Like how, I mean, and I don't know if this is just me being curious, but it's not exactly about construction related, but like more about how the intersection will work. Like, are there arrows? Is it just like green and red and you just have to wait to turn for traffic to stop? How does that work with the pedestrians? Like, is there a time when no cars are driving? And because I feel like with all the turning, like, when do the pedestrians walk?
It is complicated, and I did read through the traffic studies, big, so they looked at having the frenzy is what they call it, where no cars go across but to make that work, they determined that it has to be regulated, one way pedestrian open at a time with the cars going the other, and there will be some turning things going on. There won't be a designated right turn signal, left turn signal. It will be red light, green light. But all I can say is that the traffic study determined that is the best way to make the combination of not backing up traffic too far and keeping the pedestrians moving. We'll say it should be a huge improvement over what we have currently.
I have a question about timing. I mean, can you hear me? Is that on?
There you go. Yep. Thank you.
Is the anticipation that it'll be gravel? Because I can imagine there's a pretty big dig involved in making the house. Is that kind of for the whole winter? It'll be gravel substance.
No, there should be a patch every day at the end of the day. Possibly some of the concrete may require some steel plates during overnight till they get poured. But the steel plates will have cold mix ramps to them, mitigate bumps and access as best as we can. That answer?
Yeah,
No.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, and so then there will be the paving patch will be done. So you'll have the patch lines visible, possibly a bump, like a slight bump, until spring and the final paving, and they'll grind it all out. Yeah.
How far back will the digs go from the corners of the street? Just past the curbs or?
Oh, as far as
Like, like.
yeah, just so basically the way the picture shows here, everything there is the new, and then not a lot of work is going to happen beyond those. But yeah, beyond what there a couple feet over dig is generally what they do on those. Just enough to get the forms in.
Randy, is there any chance the pavers could go all the way across? I know the snowplow drivers won't.
The what? The
pavers, is there any chance they can go all the way across? Seems to help them demarcate a crosswalk.
well, I have to say at this stage in the game, it's kind of set in stone. And I wasn't around during the design process. So I don't know why, but I think my guess is you hit the nail on the head with snowplows and such. So it's not a great answer. I understand. I know that, but
Well, maybe if there's an opportunity in the future, you can keep it in mind.
okay.
Will the lights be suspended on wires? I don't see the poles in the drawing, but maybe I just don't have a look at it.
Yeah, it's really hard to deal see, and they will be suspended off of poles. That's why I did highlight the.
The highlight didn't come through on the photograph.
Oh, got it.
Right,
So you
I can kind of guess, that must be a pole, not across.
yeah.
Just on two corners.
So it's a pole, and two arms.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Randy, if I could, you mentioned the traffic study, you might not remember, but do you know how much traffic travels through that intersection?
Yeah, there are pages and pages of that. So
I know.
honestly, that was one of those where
Yeah.
all the details I went through, but it is expected to accommodate growth to 2032 and expecting with, that's pretty much for sure, and they expect a 24. That
That's great.
with no adjustments to the light, so.
Randy, do we have any design for the poles themselves? Are they going to be typical industrial poles, or I mean, this is our major intersection in the city? Is there any kind of historic design features to them?
They are going to be they're a color, and I believe they're black. Yeah, so it was taken. So they're not just metal, but the poles themselves are the typical poles. I mean, it's not a custom pole, but they did spec a different color for them.
Speed lights or whatever.
And then in terms of communication outreach, I think a QR code at that intersection with a small pamphlet or something, obviously you can, at that intersection, we can't have a huge billboard that you see in a lot of sites, but maybe perhaps a small 8.5 by 11 with a QR code. So it's a lot lately.
Are you talking about just ahead of construction and then during construction so people can stay updated?
Yeah, I would say sooner the better.
Okay, yeah.
It's not,
I can talk a little bit about what we have done so far in terms of outreach. So Randy and Rich gave a presentation to the Downtown Business Association to give everyone a heads up. And we also had, it was included in the Columbia Gorge newspaper. It's in our newsletter that is coming out any minute now. And of course, we'll keep our social media posts updated as well. And Randy and I printed out a little flyer with information and a picture of the same diagram. And we walked around downtown and knocked on every business door in the immediate vicinity of them, like within 2 blocks, pretty much each way of the intersection. Not everyone was there, not all owners were there, but they have contact information if they have any further questions. And as Randy mentioned, it was met with really positive response, a lot of it's about times. And so, yeah, I think there weren't any major concerns, and the main things we heard were just, people want to stay informed once we get the timeline from the contractor. So we'll just continue to have that close contact, like one-on-one contact with businesses as we get that timeline. We also had the flyers out here as well. So in case any businesses who weren't there at the time when we were going around can stop by and pick up any information. But I will get any additional outreach suggestions that you may have.
Could you speak for a minute about how you will keep people updated as well, not just for the ground, the beginning, but
Yeah,
as it progresses?
so our vision is to create a blog that has all of our different construction projects on it. And so you can go to the thread of that specific project. And we can just really easily put in quick updates like, okay, we're working on the southwest corner this week. And then southwest corner complete, moving on to the northwest corner. That way people can just, really, we'll make sure to give that information of the blog out to everyone who's going to be affected by the construction. And we have a few other construction projects going on, so it'll be a great way to keep all the different streets and people informed.
I do like the idea of maybe just a construction sandwich board, 4 of them at the corners with the QR code that send people to your blog.
Yeah,
And then I suspect your blog would have specific project and they could click on that project.
exactly.
I think that's, and they did it during the Super Bowl. They even had a QR code that came up on one of the commercials. So you chime in on because people use that instead of typing in an
Yeah,
email address.
yeah.
And what kind of efforts are we going to do for our Spanish speaking citizens?
Well, so I'm bilingual in Spanish, so we didn't run into any Spanish only speakers. in this round of outreach, but I have not actually, that is a good point, that I did not translate this particular letter into Spanish. However, in the newsletter and on all social media posts and in the blog as well, it will be bilingual. But that is a good point that I should translate that to Spanish.
Is there a way that people can subscribe to updates, like through the blog or whatever, so that they don't have to go and check it, but if there's like, oh, we're switching corners, they'll just be notified via email or text or whatever?
I would bet that there is something like that. I haven't explored that exact thing, but that is a good thing that I would look into.
Just if they want to be, I know
Yeah.
sometimes it's easier just to be notified and like remember to check stuff.
Yeah,
Do expect to be fairly busy during this one, you know, just with the public engagement. It's so high profile. I mean, everybody in town's. It's more than just a neighborhood construction site. We're pretty much dealing with the neighborhood. So we're kind of gearing up for that. Like I said, we're going to do our best to mitigate any of the issues with construction. That being said, it is construction. I don't expect it to be a lot of, there is a little underground for some storm work out there. You will probably see Northwest Natural doing a quick pothole or two here real soon. I mean, but that won't even, it'll be 20 minutes probably with a back truck sucking down. Well, an hour. Let's I mean, but there'll be some of that. There's always a dig day, prep day. They pull out, concrete guys come in and set up forms. It's a couple weeks, and just because you got to do each corner, we're not going to pour them all at the same time. So it'll be one. We'll work in quadrants is the plan. So that will extend the length of the project, but I believe it will help the overall chaos, I guess is the word.
You mentioned like no night work, but it seems like there's probably less traffic during the night. Is there a reason why? I feel like other places I've lived, they utilize more night work because usually what you're less affecting.
Well, so I'm going to jump out and speculate because I wasn't during the process, but night work is significantly more money. So that was probably a concern. Materials, you know, concrete, things like that have to be during the day. It's one of those things I think you would do night. I think the night work, you could do the excavating at night, possibly. And then, but a lot of it's going to be during the day.
And I'm just thinking more of things that will actually like close a lane or, you know, like make a major impact on the traffic.
I think the biggest traffic, the biggest chaos day will be the paving day. And I think that'll have to be broken into 2 days. And that can't be done at night with temperatures unless we waited like until middle of summer with the temperatures. So there are those kind of concerns as well. But
If I can also speculate, I wonder if it's because there are.
that's
Night activity. Like we would do a lot of night activity in a residential area stuff.
Well, even just like evening,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like not 1 AM, but.
Got it. Oh, I got you. Yeah,
Like this hours that would be less.
understood. Yeah.
Whatever.
so I mean, I have to think like it's a major project, but not, I mean, the site work isn't super extensive. So I believe that it can go pretty painless downtown. We are going to do our best to make sure that the contractor is bunched into as small as area as possible to affect as little parking as possible. But again, I think at this point I'd be speculating a little bit too much as to why. but like I said, I think those two things are probably the reasons.
Randy, since you just mentioned parking, does the bump up affect the number of parking spots on the streets?
It does not. The only one that I'm having trouble figuring out is there is motorcycle parking in front of the bank. We might lose the motorcycle only parking. It's a little hard to tell if we can get the lines back and still maintain that.
Yeah, hooray for this intersection.
Yeah.
Let's,
And the good news is the construction estimate is lower than we were expecting. And it is 2022, 23, the things are costing a little more right now. But right now, the current estimate is about 600,000 for the construction costs. We're budgeting for 750. And I expect it to come in about that, somewhere in that range. So, and we were expecting $1 million early on, so.
what about the next intersection?
All right, so Cascade and Rand, I'm not as familiar because that's an entire ODOT is running that. I've gone to the pre-construction on it, but that is going to be handled by ODOT with some city input, but so bear with me, I won't have, it's a little bit less control that has bid already. We expect construction, we expect some construction activity to start in April. Probably going to try to take care of the underground the crossings and such before summer. And then in summer, they will be constructing in summer with very tight regulations on what they can do with traffic. 2 lanes of traffic will be maintained during the summer season.
I have a couple questions. I live on the west side of town. I think it's almost a coin flip between this intersection and the Wine Country Cascade intersection. And is there thoughts that this signal would mitigate some of the congestion over at Wine Country Way? And then with the west, is kind of multifaceted question. Is there a plan with the west side project to bring that road open up into the residential area that's kind of cut out off of Wine Country Way?
I think that's in the transportation system plan.
Okay.
I think we're saying Wine Country and Cascade is set them Mount Adams and Cascade. That is currently in the transportation system plan as a roundabout. I have stood there with a resident and we watch traffic. I very much want that intersection addressed. But it is in the financially constrained list, meaning it has been identified for a project, but ODOT has not identified funds for the city at this time of identifying. So as we have gone through a west side feasibility study, right, we've not committed to anything, but we're working through this. That piece has been on our assumptions. We assume that roundabout, and I believe I was going to say Sherman, maybe it's one cut through. Is on that list of what we expect to be done through west side. Yeah, they're definitely connected. The other piece, of course, is exit 62, right? That whole connection there. Exit 62, according to ODOT, is a failed intersection, in part because the exit lanes are too short, right? Traffic backs up. There's not a, according to ODOT, you might know more than, please chime in if I'm speaking on a turn. ODOT is, I think it says, there's the left turn lanes, or to make a left from the exits or onto the exits are too tight. So that's another piece that we've identified that the city would contribute something to mitigating some of that. That is a huge project. There's no way the city would take 100% of that cost of that to go past exits, but the city would contribute something to that intersection. And you've lived in town longer than I have, so you remember when Country Club, right, used to used to connect to Cascade, and that had to get moved because it was too close to the exit, which is how we wound up with Manhattan's. And that never, it feels like that was not finished, right? It's done, but then it didn't, signal control or roundabouts.
Just move the same problem down.
Yeah, or yeah, so this, the Cascade and Rand, project, I think has been on the books. Well, I found a newspaper article about it from 2011.
Well, okay, so
And
Rick Pergin, who just retired.
Yes.
After 28 years, one of his first things he did when he worked for the city was pothole. For utility locates for that project, so
26 years.
it's been a while, so.
And I know I haven't seen a map yet of the proposed west side urban renewal plan area. Is that, is it going to go down to wine country in that intersection with urban renewal funds available there?
So I say we have, at Monday's council meetings, this is really fresh information, Elaine Howard, our consultant, gave a presentation to the urban renewal agency. We did not talk about what the boundaries might be, but I do think that, much of Cascade is something we assume would be addressed through, would be included in the boundaries of the west side of the renewal district. So, yeah, that roundabout would be.
And not having intimate knowledge of the traffic study over there, especially with consideration that we're gonna open a new thoroughfare into a heavy residential area. It feels like we don't, even if we do have a traffic study, it feels like it might be incomplete until we have that other road open to Wine Country Way. Because there's quite a few homes up there to find out traffic pattern.
Yes.
And rate of load.
So the traffic, the transportation system plan was last updated in 2021, so it actually predates me. I don't know quite what that looks like, but I can send you all the link to the TSP if you'd like to browse that, or I can take some specific questions back to Dustin, who's leaving tonight. He's not here tonight, but people can follow up.
Yeah, as well as the connectivity for the old highway.
Oh, yes,
That's gonna have a big impact as well.
sure.
Right. No, if you could send that link out to us, but the traffic study precedes a road that doesn't exist yet. And that's where my concern is, once you open that road that goes into a heavily populated neighborhood, what's the rate of traffic coming out onto wine country moving forward? I would just want to be mindful that I knew we'd be closer to the interstate the way the off ramps are existing right now, but it seems like that intersection would be a better traffic signal light. And then down here by Columbia Bank and the vacant buildings where you're going to have swell would be maybe potential property, especially vacant building that's for sale, would be a better opportunity for a roundabout there as an entrance into Hood River. And I understand the ODOT issues with the stoplight down there at White Country as the exit on-ramps exist right now, but that's just.
Yeah, I think for wine country, I mean, the TRP shows the roundabout. I think ODOT also would accept a light there, and I don't know why roundabout was chosen at that time. I will say, Rand and Cascade intersection, like, we're ready with shovels. Like it is, the moment has passed to acquire property and build a roundabout, as well as I think this project, which I think was at first estimated to be 1.2 million and it's now at 3.6 million. The the requirements of what a roundabout would likely be unaffordable.
So there's the hills make it a little more difficult to do a roundabout there. And a big thing about the traffic light there is pedestrian. The traffic light, it works better with pedestrians, and that's going to be a good pedestrian crossing point, bike and pedestrian crossing point at Brandon. I think that was one of the big big things that they were addressing as well.
Randy, I assume the traffic studies analyzed the left turn going north on Rand onto Cascade. I drive that street a lot and most of the traffic is turning left. From my own experience, I don't know.
So like I said, this is, I'm pretty familiar with the traffic studies on Second and Oak, not as much on Cascade and Rand. Because that one is being ran almost entirely by ODOT, so. I can certainly try to round that up and get some information to you, but I'm not prepared, right? I don't have that. answer.
I think there is a dedicated left on Rand going north.
Yeah, I just want to make sure the stacking is adequate. One of those short.
Oh, good question.
I mean, there is an arrow back here.
And was property taken or acquired at this intersection?
No, there is going to be a construction, there's a couple easement things going, and one of them is a construction easement for sure, I know that. But I do not believe we needed to get any permanent easements for it. Pretty sure on that one, I was in them when they were talking about it, again, I apologize for not knowing that super well, but.
Can I just get a little like historical thing of like why this project is way more money and taking so long? I know it has, but I don't really know why.
I can talk a little bit about this. This project so in some ways began when ODOT had $750,000 for a crosswalk near Walmart. And I think at the same time, the city said, we really want to put a traffic light here at this intersection. And ODOT said, well, we've got $750 to contribute to the project. And so that was their contribution. And then anything else that came above that was. So that's why the city's piece has continued. We've had to go back to council a number of times to ask for additional funds for this. Why it has increased so much? I think in part because the project is more than 1 year old. But I don't know the specifics. I'm going to get some materials and design changes and some of the things that happen in construction, but I don't know the specifics.
When I'm looking at this, this one's a pretty complicated project. There's a lot of moving, they're shifting the lanes around. That would be a big part of it. And this one does have night work built into it, which is very expensive, so.
Well, and it's just more curious about like, I mean, I understand because it's taken so long, it has gotten more expensive, but why has it, like, to me, this seems very straightforward. And I'm sure probably most people that live in the river are like, oh, this traffic light up, like, what is the problem? Why is it complicated? And it doesn't look like it's changing any lanes, but you know, it's hard to tell on this paper.
It is a state highway that can impact I-84 and anything near I-84 is expensive. I mean, design costs on these are always shocking. And I don't know the design costs on this, but I'm sure the design cost is a pretty good chunk of that money. The study is
Beyond the money, like why has it been 11 years, you know? Just because we are trying to get the money?
I think a lot of it has been waiting for ODOT to have it available in their queue, right? They're constantly ranking projects, and when they have their, because they're doing the design, right? They're doing, if there were land acquisition, they would do all of that, and when they have the staff and the resources available. I will say one piece of the cost that seemed like I was surprised when I learned this was like I don't know about how many utilities have to be moved. That's a piece of it, but like knowing like we have to move a fire hydrant. And that is a major, I have no idea how much it would cost to move a fire hydrant that's close to Columbia Bay, but like that is a project unto itself.
And so we are funding most of this, but ODOT is like running it.
Exactly right. Yeah. So we don't have a lot of management or veto power.
so.
They tell us what it costs and then we write a check.
Clarification for me. The roundabout and this traffic signal, are they gonna put it at the same time? Or do we have to wait another 11 years?
It's gonna be
The roundabout is on the financially constrained list. On the list, but it has no money.
Well, I think that
Yep.
this is anecdotal. It's where I drive. That wine country is a mess right now, and we're gonna plug a road that comes in off of heavily populated residential area above. It's only gonna exacerbate that intersection.
So to that, I mean, I totally, yeah, I mean, not defending or anything, but I do think that the Cascade and Rand light will encourage more traffic going down Rand and taking some of the pressure off of wine country. I mean, I know that's the direction, the route I will be traveling if I want to make a right turn or a left turn there, so.
Randy, I asked a number of questions. I just want to be clear. I think both these projects are great. Particularly, well, the downtown one's obvious, but in this particular intersection, because of the offset, I think there's actually somewhat of a danger or a safety issue there. I noticed a number of times when I've been turning left and the Walmart people are turning left and somebody gets impatient and they go for it because there's traffic and there's a gap. And so I think this is an important improvement.
Well, and I know Jackie rides the bike a lot and we were talking about it, and the bicycle, she's talking about coming to that intersection as a bicyclist, and it's really bad. And this will definitely help with that as well.
Do state parks have any involvement in this intersection? Are they going to do any improvements since that's part of the historic highway?
That's a great question, and I'm happy to report, I believe in April, I've asked Tara Lindley from ODOT to come and, it'll probably be virtual, but do a presentation on the historic highway and the projects that she's managing, Mitchell Point, Newton Park, and then Cascade. So ODOT led, I think the city participated in a Cascade Streetscape about some of the improvements that would be necessary or desirable for, when we think about the cycling traffic we might have in that area of town. So they're involved, but I don't know that if the historic highway has something specific to this. I will say there is a historic highway committee, advisory committee, right? And they gave feedback on this. Apparently that group likes lights more than roundabouts at this time, but anything that happens on the historic highway 30, that group is consulted.
I can, again, speaking a little anecdotally, but I was on a call there. ODOT has a historian that starts these projects out. So I know that it was looked at by somebody with that in mind, because they're talking about doing some ADA work through Oak Street, and they're in the stages where the historian is looking at it and making sure that it meets the historical requirements and such. So I can almost, I would guarantee that they looked at this project or were involved in this. ODOT's an interesting agency. Like, I'm not, I mean, when you make a communication with ODOT, like when an email is sent out about this, it goes to 32 ODOT employees. So, I mean, it's a big operation. So the pre-construction, I think there was somewhere close to 15 to 20 ODOT people, and a lot of them were inspectors. So ODOT's a big agency. So a lot of that stuff is there's an inspector for environmental controls. There is an inspector. I mean, it's not even just one inspector.
So that might contribute to the $750,000 light versus the $3.5 million light?
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like,
as we wrap up, I'll share one little piece of trivia, which is I believe that Second and Oak is the city's first traffic light. By which I mean all of the other traffic lights in town are actually ODOT owned and controlled traffic lights. But if you were here in the pandemic, you know that the city acquired Oak through the jurisdictional transfer process, right? So that we could put the parklets on the street downtown because ODOT is now that on its highway. And so it's funny to say, but this is truly the city's first traffic light. So be proud, you were here to witness that history in the making.
Thank you, Randy. I think both of these intersections are greatly needed by our community, and obviously I can think of other areas. As well, so, I'm looking forward. To the, down the road.
That's right, step by step.
Yeah.
Yes. And I apologize, I just wanted to just ask you to talk a little bit about the communication and outreach for Cascade and Raymond, which is ODOT led. But Jackie has been thinking about how we best support that.
Yeah, I'd love your thoughts on this as well. Because this is ODOT led, they're providing a lot of the communications, similar means, newsletter, social media, website, online. I think putting up a sign with the QR code would be a great idea as well to keep people informed. Because of the businesses there, it's not, it's, we have a vacant building, Taco Bell and Walmart, so there's less of, the local businesses that we need to go door to door and talk to the construction. ODOT does have, so they update every Friday, they send out an email on all of their, giving an update on all of their projects. So that's a great place that we can kind of just copy and paste that and make sure that that gets out to everyone. As it's ongoing, and include that on the blog as well. But if you have any other thoughts, on, keeping people updated, because it will be, I think we're all really excited for the end result, which will be the traffic light there, which will be a great improvement, because I do think that this is a very dangerous intersection for drivers, bikers, and pedestrians. But there will be some traffic disruption as it's ongoing. So yeah, any thoughts you guys have on connecting with folks and yes.
I think QR codes work great for pedestrians. You use your phone, but in this intersection, there's not a lot of pedestrians. Perhaps in front of the feed store, if you get there okay, a placard or something, a poster larger than a driver or passenger of the driver's car could see, get some basic information.
I know we also had personnel from ODOT that connected with the urban design consultants for the Heights streetscape plan. And I wonder if that same, connection could be involved in being part of the communications process for this part of, because they're both ODOT sections. I don't know if that's, but she was very helpful.
Yeah.
This is not an idea, but a question. Can we talk about the time frame for this one? Like when it's starting, how long it's taking?
The Cascade and Rand one.
Yeah.
Expecting to start with some of the work in April. And it will go through summer. And so it's been awarded, and I was hoping to get the contractor's schedule before this meeting. They don't have it yet. It'll probably come in tomorrow is what I'm expecting. So probably better answers next week. And as soon as I do, I can forward them to Abigail and she can distribute.
Like April through the summer.
Yeah, with probably the final paving again, the next, towards the end of summer, hopefully. But I'm thinking this one's gonna be a little longer, so.
But lanes will be open the whole time.
Yeah, during the summer, but during the non-peak season, two-way, there will be some flagging allowed. But during the peak season, no. So they're gonna get in there, from what I understand, so this is why, the reason I'm tentatively saying I hope it gets faster is because in the construction meeting, the company that was awarded Wildish was pretty optimistic about being ahead of schedule. But without a schedule, I can't relay that to you, so.
So I'm fixating, I apologize. Could we do a demonstration over on the wine country with stop signs to control that intersection? Is that something that ODOT would be agreeable to?
You'll never get ODOT to agree to a stop sign on Cascade that would stop traffic from
As far as a controlled, I mean, three-way controlled intersection, you know, where it's not backing up traffic, it's just stopping for.
Definitely, I can't say that I'm a definitive. I'm just odds are ODOT will say, I mean, anything that affects I-84. I mean, it's a big deal. And that, so I'm not saying a definitive answer or anything. I'm just like,
And I'm curious to see how the traffic light slows traffic pattern, and if there's other ways to calm traffic going out towards the interstate, I don't think there will be. But if there are ways, I don't even know what the speed limit is, or 30, 35, right? Front of much while.
Yeah,
They're gonna make it fast from Rand to that intersection. I think.
Because
And
ODOT's very,
and I
they
don't-
get people away from I-84, right? They want them to exit I-84.
And I have no idea what the traffic pattern is gonna be once that road is open up.
What's that supposed to be?
Once
What's
that plan, that the road up into the residential area.
It is also on the financially constrained list, so it has no funding attached to it at this time. So
Right
one
now,
of
it's
those we
like-
think could happen if we had nothing. But it's not, it has no money attached to it now.
I think it's also worth like, waiting to see how this affects it.
Exactly.
It might make it way better, and it might, you know.
this
I mean,
is,
I don't drive, I do know what you guys are talking about, I don't use that intersection a lot, but when I do, I know the issues of it, but. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, just wait and see what happens.
I will say this is the perfect time to be involved with it though, since it's. You know, like. These things do move slow, you know, Cascade and Rand set in stone. But this is, yeah, all these concerns, it's the perfect time to start voicing this stuff. For the wine country.
Any other questions? Anything else? you want?
Yeah, I guess I'll just reiterate that Country Club is also the main access point to get on 84, you know. So,
And they go to that.
and it's a left turn, which is exceptionally difficult. And even for large vehicles, that's the main thoroughfare, so. Yeah, we'll see, you know,
As
you don't
somebody,
know until you know.
as somebody that's ran construction projects in town and has dealt with the large vehicles in the intersection.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I'm gonna tell people tell the drivers to be using Rand to make your left turn. So that's why it's my gut feeling that it will alleviate. What?
Juices a minute. Ryan's juices, but it takes some double trucks then.
Sure.
You can.
No, I mean, there's absolutely gonna be issues down there. I'm hoping that this. I think people will learn this pattern, and when you need to go downtown. Like, because I know coming from Odell, I always come that way is how I get to 84. And I will definitely go down Rand so that the left turn is less painful.
Isn't Rand often closed in the winter time? Also?
In the winter, yes.
Just to be sure, it looks like there's the light grays sidewalks that'll go around all four corners. I would think so, but.
Yes, yeah.
And then the little tiny arrows that are hard to see, those are those bike lanes?
Oh, on the side, yeah, yes, that is a bike lane there.
So there'd be a bike lane going south on Rand, or how far?
It'll. Again, I'm just gonna answer the way I'm pretty sure I'm right, but like, bear with me. It's just gonna be for the new construction until more money is, because. It's like when we build sidewalks in the city, you build whatever you can grab. Until the next project.
On the project site.
Yeah, so.
Anything else?
And those little tiny entrances, they're like twined with the green space onto the crosswalks, those meet EDA.
They will definitely meet ADA. I don't know, like this is not the plan set,
Right.
so,
I know that the curb
Mhm.
rules are very
mm,
clear.
They drive a lot of design. And a lot of the cost.
a lot of the cost too, yes.
Anything else?
I thought I would, if I could, just give you a update of where I think your next, what I have planned for your next couple meetings, if that's okay. And then also just a quick update on my side. So at your March meeting, I believe that Dustin will be back to talk about, I think he has an update on the rates. Our plan is working with a consultant right now, by June or July to have time sequencing and some project costs. And I think he wants to come to you with just kind of a midpoint piece of that, get your feedback, and he's going to present that to the Urban Renewal Agency. So that's next month's meeting. And then, as I mentioned, in April, I have Tara Lilly from ODOT to give an overview of the historic highway. I recently saw she did the same presentation report, but we got to get her here. So I can talk a little bit about Mitchell Point, Ruthton Park, which is currently a county park, but will be the state park. And as part of this plan, and then just how traffic will flow, how cycle traffic will flow through town. And then probably also within March and April, just give more updates about West Side. So if I can take one more minute to just talk a little bit about West Side. As I mentioned, we have a consultant, Elaine Howard. We talked about this at our last meeting, the West Side update. We are wrapping up the feasibility piece. This is where Elaine is and the team are simply seeing, do the numbers pencil out? Like, these are the projects we might do. Would the district collect enough dollars to pay for that? The answer is yes. He just gave us that information on Monday. So council and Urban Renewal Agency will probably discuss in February 27th, for just like that. Keep going or shut it down. I'm gonna guess they're gonna say keep going simply because the numbers look good and it's priority or something. So along with that, Elaine and I, or Elaine's staff members, are presenting to the different taxing districts. So you might remember that West Side Urban Renewal District will require county approval because it includes unincorporated areas that are currently unincorporated. Other districts are informed, but we don't need their approval forward. So I was at the Parks District last night, at the port coming up, the county West Side Fire District, because some of their areas would be affected by this, the library, several other agencies. So that's the other piece that's happening right now. It's all it's built on assumptions, right? We have just enough to say, okay, should we keep moving on this? But then we'll fine tune those numbers, and so probably by April, May, be back to you with a lot more detail about what that.
Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yes, please.
Because I was gonna just, check in about where the heights thing was, so I'm glad that you brought it up. And when they have the stuff in June or July or whatever, the project, like, are they gonna have the full design by then, or when does that comes later? How?
Yeah. This is still, here's what some of those projects might be, here's a general what those costs might be, and here's maybe how they would sequence. Might need to do this one first, and then that. The Urban Renewal Agency's not approved any of those projects at this time. So nothing, we don't have any design dollars for any of them. So still
Right,
very
but
high.
the guys, I forget, they're creating a design, right? I mean, they're creating a design.
I think very high level design.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so
think
when-
one of the things they've been asked to do is to cost out the roundabout versus intersection option for, I think, both places, right? Both crossings.
Okay.
So, but it will definitely not be like this is what the roundabout would look like. It's just like here's how big it might be and here's how much it might cost.
So first we have to decide on, like, make decisions about those things before they can even finish the
Yeah.
whole big.
Yeah, before they would actually start on this. There's big questions about elevation. Utilities and how much property we have to acquire.
These are gonna be back with non-voter questions.
And I'm a little late to the party, but those designs are based on the hybrid option. Is that accurate?
That's right, so if you remember, there was, in the heights, there was options three, there were three options that this was option three. I read it. Two-way traffic, you guys, you're gonna know this better than I am, two-way traffic on, 13 and just northbound traffic on 12th with additional parking, well, some parking changes and traffic calming measures on 12, right, to make it like neighborhood street, right? Yeah, and improved, crosswalks and sidewalks. Is that a good summary of it? You're my heights experts.
That's pretty spot on.
Great.
With the exception of the roundabout, that is not feasible. So I don't know why we keep marching down that road.
Well, it's not that it's not feasible, I think that's what, it's feasible if you do all these things.
Yes, feasibility and cost. Yeah, yeah, and footprint. How big it would need to be. Those are important big questions that are currently out there. Yes, but none of that has been decided.
Anything else?
I'd just say, does that sound like a good plan? March Heights, April, Columbia Cascade Highway and updates on West Side as we go. Is there anything else you're looking for or things that intrigue you you'd like to get on the agenda?
There's nothing. You haven't heard back from Kevin. There's nothing that we should expect in March or April from him as far as.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up for the waterfront. So the waterfront, Kevin Greenwood from the port presented to the Urban Renewal Agency on Monday night. Basically what you saw, they did have a little bit of wiggle room about how large the parcel would be. Remember, he talked about a 9-acre parcel that was just lot one. They're also considering including the parcel immediately to the south. It's called lot 900 and that's right next to the Sinclair gas station. So they have not decided what the final piece would be, so.
That's the one commercial piece of property.
Right, and that is the, port has. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna say the right language, I'm gonna say awarded a contract, I'm not sure if that's exactly right, to a developer to sell on that property. So that is, they're going through, they're starting the review process. So they came, the Urban Renewal Agency had lots of questions about that, and so and that was what the presentation was not at this point. The agency is going to meet again February 27th to answer more questions and have further conversation. And then city council may or may not make a decision. You might remember, because what the court's asking for is to close the current urban waterfront district and start a new waterfront district. Starting a new district is a council decision, not an agency decision. So that's why we'll have an agency meeting to discuss more, and then council may or may not make a decision on the 27th.
And obviously, it would help significantly if they were able to annex that southern
Yes,
lot.
yeah.
Because the tax deferred increment spending would be increased significantly for the development of
That's right.
lot one.
Yeah.
There's a hotel that's slated to go there, that's all.
Right, that would increase the value. Yeah, I think Elaine said what they were looking at was a 10-year district, so pretty short, right? 10 years to get the $1.7 million was their estimate. If that lot is included in the hotel, that brings the timeline down to 6 years. That is a really fast. Never heard of it. Great, thank you for those questions. I meant to give you those updates.
Anything else from members? Thank you, my co-chairs. If there's nothing else, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.